Okay. Right. Yeah, please. You can give a mic to him, yeah, please. Yeah. Yeah, here. Here's Rahman. I think that he'd like to ask a question.
Questions to you, sir, the vice chair. So when it comes to quantum computing, do you think that qubits, especially in quantum computing, cores will effectively render internet anonymity obsolete, massive amount of computing power? So if you take example of a tornado signals down, well, computers might actually be able to run millions of calculations way faster than a traditional computer. So do you think that security applications render internet.
He's doing the second year.
Thank you for the question and scope. So 95% of the data still exists. Let's start there. All the data that you have about fake is what you will talk. The deep data has not been accessed because of which you talked about code. When we talk about quantum computers, we are talking about not millions, billions, we're talking about trillion calculations per second. And that humanity to all the computers today would take about 1,000 years to solve problems that in the solving about 5 minutes. That's the scale we're talking about. That's the computer I talk about. The complexity is at a level which has not yet gone into. I mean, the clients have started using it. So when we work with clients, we give like 15-minute usage of the supercomputer as a part of the collaboration. It's in Yorktown right now in the New York campus, and anyone wants to come, we can go to show you some industries. Complexity around is very challenging. The current cybersecurity systems have been built on technology that's 5 or 10 years old. The training is still being done in experts. Like I said, I'm also development leader for Cyber Campus, where we are actually working with institutions to help on workforce development, and we are focusing on think about a CrowdStrike kind of environment, and that could be simulated for you at your laptop in a room with your friends and colleagues, and you could actually see what happened and how you come out of it. That's the level that we're talking about. Not about the chemical. Now you add the quantum computing perspective, it gets very complex. Because how quantum computer would actually deal with a cybersecurity attack like that? It's completely new. It's out of textbook, it's also research papers. But the that's why I said when the CEO started, he said the year of AI computation global. So 2022 was about 2023 was about AI platforms. 2025 we are talking about AI agents as a we going a step further, we're talking about generative activity. It's a completely different concept because AI agent is in buzzword. Every year has a new buzzword. Like generative computing, we're talking important. That's really a good. Descriptions will be much easier to grab than quantum computing power. I would not call it easier. It's like almost you're taking a Lamborghini and into a against a normal car, right? You need a different kind of road for it to get performance, right? The standards have not yet been set. I also at Capitol 3 weeks back, representing ICETM New York, where we were talking to the senators, Senator Schumer of the Senator Jimmy and also Congressman Tom Suarez and others. And in the top were there was around school education and NSF funding, which was decreased for $3 billion. It's going down, but we are trying to get that up, and that's what the goal is. So IEEE is setting standards in quantum computing and the research that is coming in. IBM is in those. So yes, if it's talking, but we look at it, we have platform support. So advanced haven't used the full potential. We are doing that with our clients. We have set up a campus at the University of Technology, which will be, just recently. So that's what it is. University of Illinois as well.
Yeah, that's really nice. I'm from IIT Chicago, so
Right, right. So we set it up last year. That's our only supermajor campus. I think important that we set up outside the Oakland campus. And that's what we are doing with others as well.
very interesting, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
This young lady back.
Given our struggles with
She, he's journalist. Yeah.
a lot of you.
Yeah.
Integrating our pupils with our clients. Given your background, what is the issue you face or like IBM space? Integrating recent solutions, especially AI generated solutions with client new client space when integrating the new solutions that we don't often accept.
So it's a good question. I would like to answer it in a different way. Um, Organizations today want to be on the bandwagon of AI at such a level that they want to just find something in AI to get into it. It's like a nail trying to find a hammer, or hammer trying to find a nail, or trying to find a wall. When we talk about AI, we are talking about a different perspective. The large language models that in DeepSeek completely put that out of perspective, right? And our CEO said that Nobel in computer science said that the large language models are the only ones which are going to help with the AI and other stuff, right? Small language models and others that we are deciding, Planet has been focused on that perspective. It's almost called democratization of AI resource, right? And that is something that we're working with, one perspective. So we focus on the client's needs, the client's requirements, and then try to find what it rather than have something in there which can assist you. I think that's where the majority of our expertise comes into it. So starting with the client, one thing is for sure that with all the that are happening around uh, the public sector, funding has been the Department of Education. That's billion. So organizations are looking at ways in which they can actually um, improve resources. Um, how can you maximize the return on investment? So if a currently in contract does we not know go because AI is expensive. If it's starting expensive, can be how can it help the problems that it can, and how can automation and AI agents that I talked about in a much more non-complex way help the clients. I think that's where the real story starts happening. Then we do design thinking workshop where you start prioritizing things. Not every idea is worth pursuing. Client might not know what they want until you give them this, which is where the real work happens. And then afterward, the overall benefits that they want for the community. That's a very different effort that's going on. Whatever effort is happening now on the community side has to help the community, otherwise it just becomes a white elephant in the room. Hopefully that answered the question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair, for the permission. Ladies and gentlemen, the future belongs to those their dreams. Evening, good morning, joining us from. We are truly honored to the seventh International Conference
on engineering
Technology
management. And we are also equally proud to witness this historical event of having been the first Asian university to organize an IEEE conference in the United States. Of course, the credit goes to all of you. Amidst your thundering applauses, I would request our Group Vice Chancellor, respected Dr. Gurinder Singh Sir, to please deliver his welcome address and set the tone for the discussions that we've been waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Marvel. It's absolutely a pleasure of MIT Education Group that for the first time in the United States of America, when any university is organizing IEEE conference,
on behalf of our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, who is a living legend, who, after spending more than 3 decades in Europe, came back to Asia with one objective, with one aim, that we need to create universities, we need to create educational group which can make a difference into the life of leading researchers, students, and also integrate education with the industry. And when all of you from the industry, from academia, researchers, they were talking and giving introduction, I was remembering the vision which he had, which he gave to the world many, many decades back, that there will be a day when there will be an education which will have more meaning, when we will be able to integrate it with research and with the industry innovations. Thank you so very much, Founder President, for joining so late. I think in India it is somewhere at 11:15, but he is joining you live. And our all chancellors, both the chancellors, Dr. Atul Chauhan, Dr. Asim Chauhan, our trustees, and we have got 12 universities. All the vice chancellors are watching you live from there. But a great honor for all of us that very distinguished people are there. Give a huge applause to all of them. They say that there are two kind of people in the world.
Dr. Gurinder
And
Singh,
Smith, there are two
Dr.
Harvard
Gurinder
Business
Singh,
School professors. They have
Dr. Gur-
spoken
Dr.
about it.
Gurinder Singh, Dr. Gurinder Singh, founder president here, founder president here.
So I think that we have been joined by our founder president. Please give a huge applause to him. It's very late there,
I am sitting in
but
other
then he
meeting, but
is watching you live. I think that there is not a day when he doesn't work 20 hours. But very honored to have you with us.
great. I'm
But I
so
think
proud.
that, as I was saying,
I'm very proud to see all. I have been attending from the very beginning, but attending other important meeting with a lot of people. So my blessings to all. I will see later peacefully the whole event, and my compliment, my appreciation, my blessings to all. You are all precious for America, for India, for globally. You are all precious for us. Our aim is to make a better world, and anybody who is contributing to that is favorite to God, and God will take care of it. Gurinder is unbelievably loyal, successful, and dedicated. Thank you, Gurinder. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It's an amazing story about him that when he came back after spending so many years in Europe, at that point of time, there was no private university in India. It was very regulated environment. So he came up and then he said that if India has to grow, if Asia has to grow, and it has to be integrated with the West and with the United States of America and with the other leading universities of the world, then we need to privatize the education. So MIT was born, was created with the point that we should be focusing on research, we should be integrating with the industry values. But really honored, and as I was saying, that there are two professors of Harvard, Smith and Thomas, who have spoken about that there are two kind of people. One, that those who will always encourage you, who will always inspire you to do something extraordinary in life, to take challenges, to do many things, because someone has to start from somewhere. And we call them as a balcony people. So balcony people are always very inspiring, and who will always raise a question. We're very inflexible. Who will always say, no, no, it is not possible. Right. We're very honored that today stage and off the stage we have got people who are balcony people who have been able to give this promise to these youngsters who are traveling from across the globe, who are giving a hope to them that you have got a wonderful career. Give a huge applause to all of them, please. Dr. Rhonda Green, who is a professor and chair of IEEE Long Island section. We are truly, truly, truly honored and grateful to you, along with Dr. Udit Sharma from IBM, and who is here. I think that we started talking to them 2 years back. 2 years back, that how we should be able to do it. In organizing these conferences, to just give you a glimpse, we have been doing international research with Springer, with Taylor and Francis, with IEEE, were there. But we were given to understand that no one in the world from India has been able to do in United States of America. So we took this challenge and we approached you. And I think we are really blessed that you not only supported this conference, but it has started now for many decades. I think that every year this is going to be an annual event. But give a huge applause to IEEE Long Island chapter. Yeah.
Dr. Meghna's efforts have
Yeah.
been,
Yeah.
we have took late nights because late night there,
Yes.
sometimes late
Yeah.
night message.
Yeah.
And we have worked for the last 1.5 years almost to get this thing through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all congratulations to her and her
Yes.
team as well.
Yeah,
among others.
yeah, absolutely. So I think that there was a team which was working day from uh, US and all day the negotiation on Dr. Meghna, Professor Marut, uh, Dr. Garima, who is here, and all of them, along with Dr. Parne Verma, also Dr. Vinita Sharma, that they were talking to you each, and Dr. Meghna had to come here, but then she fractured her. But Dr. Meg, yeah, absolutely. But Dr. You, but your contribution for organizing is really fair. Give a huge applause to her also. Sleepless nights, I think the entire team has given. But we are very honored that we have got some very eminent people with us. Professor Rhonda Green, you are an inspiration to all of us. We have also been joined by a good friend of ours, President of Illinois Institute of Technology, Professor Raj. Uh, if Professor Raj, if you are here, you can on your camera. Yeah, he's here. I was in last evening. Again, one of the very eminent scholars of the word, Professor Raj, is regarded as one person who has not only transformed the entire education system, but has also taken a responsibility that he should search and should make the industry operations. And we feel so working with him from the last many decades. Now they are coming to open up the first ever uh, American university to have a campus in India. Give a huge applause to Professor Raj. And we are working very closely with him for our all MIT campuses, also at Dubai and in Singapore. I think that he is going to talk when he will address all of you, but very honored that you are here. We have also been joined by Professor Raghu Sundaram, Senior Vice Chancellor, New York University, one of the very inspirational figures on whom we not out, because at any point of time when in the other part of the world there and we look at America, it as a country of opportunities. And I remember Professor Raghu Sundaram and saying that America is a country which has given unparalleled support to everyone, someone who wanted to do something extraordinary, maybe in Africa, maybe in China, in India, maybe in Europe. They of excellence came to United States of America and created. And Professor Raghu Sundaram, we feel so proud that you are amongst the top scholars of the world and you are leading NYU today as one of the greatest scholars which India has given to the world. We're also joined by Miss Erling, who is sitting on the left side of mine. I think that the research has no meaning if it is not integrated with the industry. As a senior vice president and chief financial officer at Crum and Foster, we take you as an inspiration, and all these students who are flying from the far off countries, three continent students who started their journey in India, in Dubai, in Singapore, then they did their second part in London, and then they are now in United States of America. And you saw a student who is now studying in Chicago asking you a question, and then there's a there. So I think all of them, they take you people inspiration, and at young age, I think that when you come to such conferences, give them guidance. That is something which will take them very far. Give a huge applause to her. We have been joined by Mr. Saurabh Shukla, who is one of the leading journalists, and I've been given to understand that he's going to do a show with Arnab bit later. But very warm uh, the Saurabh Shukla, the icon, founder and editor of Chief News Mobile USA. We keep on watching you on TV, international press, but so honored that you are covering this conference and you are a part of this event. Give a huge applause to him. We ask Ms. Tanya, who's the president of Fordham University. Again, as you know, that MIT has got a relationship with many universities. And with Fordham, we also do a lot of research. But great to see Ms. Tanya, who has joined for Fordham. Give a huge applause to her. Very honored to have Professor Arun Somani, who is a very good friend of MIT. And thank you so much for traveling and taking pains and out of a busy schedule. I think that you came last evening. Uh, he is a senior associate dean, College of Engineering of Iowa State University. Iowa is working with quite a few international brands, and we feel so proud that MIT is in all IEEE conferences which we have been organizing in India, in Dubai, in London. He has been supporting. Very honored to have you and your I would say, affectionate and inspiring wife. Give a huge applause to her also. We have been joined by Mr. L. Lestagretin, who is a senior manager and consultant at Hart Technology Services, and researchers, especially young researchers who are here. I think that idea of organizing this conference was that we should be reading in people from the industry. And if you have got questions, because I think that a lot of you who are doing research, who are writing research papers, who are trying to publish, whatever research you do, I think that it has to be more meaningful to the industry. But very, very honored with your presence and giving time. I think that years later, when they will grow, all of them, and they will become the CEOs like you are, they will remember your significant contribution, mentoring, which you have done. Give a huge applause to him. We have with us with us Ms. Tashina, who's the director of international American University. She is joining us online. I think that I got an email that she had to fly from Washington to attend this event. But Ms. Tashina, whenever we meet you, we see a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. We were together in India in PI conference, and I was watching her that how passionately she was working with the quite a few players. We are so honored with your presence. And I'm sure that in the times to come, American University and many other scholars, along with MIT, they will put forward their research initiatives. Give a huge applause to her. We have been joined by Mr. Kishan Srivastava, who is the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of the SDLC Corporation. Good to see you. As I was saying, that we have a passion that whatever we do, we should be relevant to the industry. And when people like you come, who are technocrats and who are able to give new definitions to the word, I think it makes more sense. Very proud on you, what you have created at SDLC. Please keep on coming. Give a huge applause to Mr. Srivastava. We have with us the Senior Assistant Dean of UT Dallas, Mr. Gaurav Shekhar, with whom we also work very, very closely. One of our very distinguished directors. We get the honor that she is also doing a PhD with us. I think that the word is now coming much closer People from India are coming to America, and people from America, they are going to that part of the world. But great to see that that kind of integration happening. But I think the purpose of MIT of holding such conference is that we should be able to make a difference into the life of people. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if the world is a better place, and as our Chancellor Dr. Atul Chauhan always says, that we want a change in the world. So, if we are able to bring that change in the world by contributing most positively and significantly, we feel that research has more meaning. But on behalf of MIT family, once again, on behalf of our all vice chancellors, who are watching you live, on behalf of our very visionary founder, both the staff, Atul Chauhan, Dr. Aseem Chauhan, our trustees. On my own behalf, as a group vice chancellor, I'm really very grateful to each one of you for coming forward and helping. And there are hundreds of scholars who have helped. I'd not be able to
Name each one of them, but Professor James Elvay, a very close friend of ours, who is
who
the
is a
dean,
dean of who
was
was
helping,
helping
um,
friends,
and
and
Miss
Miss
Mary,
Mary. I think that both of them, they need a huge applause. They not only help, but
but bringing
bringing such people was an easy job. And I always say that at the end, so happy when your own students, they are able to do something better than you. So Marut, Amrish, I feel so proud.
Thank you very much.
The
from
last
many
many months you have been doing it, and with the team very ably doing it, Dr. Meghna Parne, and also Dr. Garima, who is here, if she is here, who are working day and night to organize it. Once again, thank you, everyone. Look forward to
having a
a
meaningful
meaningful
partnership.
partnerships with each one of you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this overwhelming welcome address and for setting. I think we should take it further now. We have with us Professor Rhonda Green. Request her to kindly give her special remarks. Please welcome Professor Rhonda Green, the chair of IEEE Long Island section, for her insightful remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. I am really happy to be here. Last year I attended virtually. And like you said, this has been a labor of love. In 190 countries, very, very important that here
I think those who are joining us from the other parts, we have got our 175 acres campus in Long Island.
Yes.
This was earlier St. John's University, which was acquired by MIT, and we look forward to have a very meaningful partnership with IEEE to take our research initiatives. So please keep on coming, keep on blessing. We will like to organize this event every year with IEEE. Look forward to further
Yep.
strengthen our partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Green. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, sir. And with this, I would request Saurabh, because he has a debate that is being telecasted. So I would request Saurabh to please go first. Saurabh, over to you. I think you have to unmute, Saurabh. Saurabh, you're on mute, I think. Saurabh, if you can hear us, you are on mute.
Hello, am I audible
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Professor Gurinder Singh. Always a pleasure to see you. Your dynamism drives, I would say, US-India partnership. And in fact, I wanted to start with a small story of my interaction as a young student with Dr. Chauhan. Few of you would know, and he may remember that I, as a young student, along with my father, who's a leading educationist in India, Dr. Shukla, was the principal of our Delhi University College, went to meet him when I was a young student. And, he was one of the persons who advised me, always follow your dreams. And thank you so much, sir, that you did that. And many years later, I'm following not only my dream, but I started a media company of my own, which is now across three continents. India, we started in India, in Singapore, and now I'm in the US. I've just started a podcast, Washington Central. You'll see the backdrop behind me, which will bring issues that you are raising to light as well, to make sure that education as an enabler is there. And I want to congratulate the entire organizing committee, again, Dr. Gurinder Singh Marut, for having me here. And also, IEEE association is a very big honor for us that an Asian university coming from India is doing that. And I think, as I mentioned to you, Professor Gurinder, earlier, that Prime Minister Modi had a successful visit driving our political relationship with the US, but Amity Group is our ambassador to drive India, US, and Asia, US education partnership. So many congratulations for that. Coming to the topic for today, and I'll just make a brief intervention on how technology is driving our industry, the media industry, because AI, as you know, and a lot of young students are here today, is the enabler of change. I remember when we were young, like you are now, it was a computer revolution that came up. And a lot of us who were early adopters of that benefited. So I would say that uh, this is the time for you to adopt artificial intelligence in whatever you are doing. Anything that I'll give you an example that we decided early on at News Mobile, where we work with a lot of young journalists, and we are a global fact checker. We work to detect, debunk misinformation and disinformation, which is happening. And every month, we pull down almost 2 million pieces of disinformation. In fact, even during the recent standoff, the geopolitical situation that we saw, and I've been busy through that on live TV show. Because of that, I can tell you, we found out there was so much of disinformation, misinformation, often generated by AI, which we debunked to make sure that people not only consume, fact-checked information, but also there is no scope for miscalculation. You can imagine when there is a crisis point in a conflict situation between nuclear countries, armed countries, the role that media can play to make sure that only vetted information, artificial intelligence generated misinformation is stopped. So that's what we've done. And I think we have done a bit to contribute in our own way to make sure that the peace can return between our two countries there in India and Pakistan. Coming back to the overall scenario of how technology can play a role in media. So I would say that artificial intelligence today has to be accepted by media companies and other organizations across the globe. Because what is happening is, even if you don't allow it to be used, there is a shadow use being happening, whether it's an educational institution. So you may not allow the use of, say, chat GPT to your students, or I may not allow the use of chat GPT to my journalists. But the fact is that behind the scenes, they may be using it in some way. So it's better for our organization to create a policy where we say that we will allow the use of AI in certain things. Like, for instance, in my team, we were the early adopters. I allowed my team to do use these AI tools to make sure that our information flow is much faster, our processes is much faster. So we will never allow it to, say, verify facts, for instance, because I'll give you an example. I was there in my class at the Harvard Business School where I studied my management.
And we were having a lecture by an AI professor in the class. I gave him a live demo on how AI can create misinformation. I fed some misinformation about the professor live in the classroom at the Harvard Business School, and it gave out all the garbled things about the professor. So I demonstrated in a live scenario that how AI can also have its challenges. So uh, I would urge the students and all the fellow participants who are here that in the era of AI, while AI is great and it's going to define the way our world revolves, but I think the pitfalls of AI should also be understood. And that is where institution like yours, Professor Sundaram is here. I know NYU is a pioneering one, and also Professor Raj at Illinois. You can also, partner, and we can all together create something where ethical use of AI becomes the norm. And that is what I think the governments all over, the education bodies like yours, MIT can play a role. And I'll be very happy to work with you because while, as I said, that AI is something which will revolutionize the way we do things, whether in education, whether in technology, in our workplaces, but it also needs to have an ethical way to use it, and people like us can pioneer it. Thank you.
Dr. Gurinder, I think you're muted. Yeah.
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 So I've been reminded by Professor Raj that he has got a book and he would like to speak. And I know that they have a convocation also, but very honored that you are here. Over to you, Professor Raj. But before you speak, I think that we would like to acknowledge the presence of one of the very respected industry leader, Mr. Stephen Bozer, who is the Senior Vice President, Human Health, Flevine, North America. Give a huge applause to him. Mr. Bozer is not only one of the most respected leaders in the industry, but I think that he is an inspiration for many youngsters. So much for coming and joining us. We are truly honored with your presence. Thank you. Over to you, Professor Raj.
Over to you, Professor Raj. Over to you, Professor Raj. Over to you, Professor Raj. Over to you, Professor Raj. Okay, I got about 7 or 8 welcomes from Dr. Singh, so thank you. Uh, 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 it's a great honor, as always, to speak at an Amity event and to be a speaker at an international conference that fosters global linkages and brings together people from a variety of backgrounds and a variety of places is incredible. So congratulations to Dr. Singh and to the Amity group. One of the two words that come to my mind when I think about Amity are interconnectedness and scale. The very fact I've been at the ground floor, if you will, of their rocket ship ascent, and to see them with so many institutions, so many campuses, not only in India but around the world, and to focus on scale, I think it is heartwarming. So thank you. I will make my remarks very brief. One of the things that I want to remind all our audience here, despite the dark clouds in the horizon, be it domestic affordability pressures in the United States, or when you think about the lack of mobility for international students, or when you think about political polarization around the world and so on, I think we need to remind ourselves of why we are in this business, education business. What we do is very noble, and but for us, being opportunity engines, we would have a lot of lost Marie Curies and Albert Einsteins. We are the ones as universities that bring people in, that bring talent into our universities, educate them, and make them impactful citizens of the world. So I think it bears a reminder this has got to be our affirming and foundational value. Very quickly, one of the things that I've been very fortunate in terms of both my research and my experiences with a variety of US universities is that focus on interconnectedness, because interconnectedness is largely underpinned by diversity. When you bring in people from diverse backgrounds, diverse ethnicities, diverse lived-in experiences, and diverse perspectives, obviously great things are going to happen, as is evident with what Amity has done. But more importantly, I think scale is also important. Instead of us relegating education to the hands of the few and to make it exclusive, I think a lot of universities need to start coming together and saying we are going to measure ourselves by how many people we include rather than how many people we exclude. And that has got to be a foundational value of ours. So in closing, I'd be remiss if I did not say this. My communication folks would be upset if I did not say this. I'm very glad to announce to this group that Illinois Institute of Technology was approved for a branch campus in India, in Mumbai, India, last week. We are the first American university to have gotten this approval. We are going to host computer science, engineering, and business. The class is going to start in fall of 26. Would love to collaborate with each and every one of you there in order to provide quality education to the Indian shores. And we are also working with Amity in terms of connecting with them and providing opportunities for the Amity students and other people in a variety of campuses. So I look forward to those kinds of collaborations. Again, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here, and best wishes for continued success. Thank you.
For these pearls of wisdom. With this, we go ahead. We were delayed for our keynote address because Professor Raghu Sundaram was held up in a trustee meeting. I would request Professor Raghu Sundaram to please go ahead and deliver the keynote. Professor Raghu, if you can hear us.
Thank you, Marut. Thank you, everyone. Good day. It's really a tremendous pleasure to be here with all of you. My sincere apologies for not being there in person. As you know, this is graduation season, and graduation-related events are keeping us all busy, but I will say happily so. It's a wonderful time of year. I should begin by offering my thanks again to Dr. Atul Chauhan, Dr. Asim Chauhan, Dr. Gurinder Singh, and Professor Marut Bisht for the invitation to address this conference, for the invitation actually to be in several Amity events. I want to echo what Dr. Raj and Mr. Shukla said before me, that Amity has been truly an extraordinary pioneer in bringing institutions together across the globe in a variety of fora, and I'm very lucky to have been included in many of those. Now, I am by profession an economist and a professor of finance. And I will confess that when I was first invited, I felt like something of an imposter being asked to address a conference focused on technology and engineering. But then I have also been working at the intersection of business with technology and entrepreneurship for some years now. And as Dean of the Stern School, I had the privilege and the pleasure of leading some of the most successful academic offerings in this area, including our Tech MBA, our undergraduate business in business technology and entrepreneurship, and the creation of the Endless Frontier Labs, which is a unique accelerator meets MBA program initiative that has created more than $5 billion in equity valuation in 5 years. So I'm going to speak from that perspective out here. As many people have noted, and as Dr. Raj just noted before me, we live in a time of enormous technological change. And the advent, especially of generative AI, has led to a great deal of speculation, of breathless speculation for what the future holds for us. in terms of business and economics, for employment, for jobs, but even in terms of our very lives as human beings, of what it means to be human. There was an excellent article by the economist Tyler Cowen on that last subject yesterday. At times like this, it's actually good to pause and to reflect. A few days ago, in the wake of the market reaction to President Trump's Liberation Day, the imposition of massive tariffs on the rest of the world, I was talking to an audience at Stern about the uncertain times we were facing in higher education. And as a university, the uncertainty and worry that is often described as unprecedented. So I had to ask myself, each crisis is different, but was it really unprecedented? I came to the Stern School 30 years ago in the January of 1995, and I reminded the audience in just that decade, the decade of the 1990s, the years just before I came to Stern had seen the collapse of the Soviet Union and the breakdown of the order that had succeeded World War II, the Gulf War, the sharpest recession the US had seen since the Great Depression, one in which Wall Street lost tens of thousands of jobs. And the years immediately following were the Mexican default in 1996, the Asian crisis in 1997, those of you old enough will remember that period, the Russian default and the collapse of LTCM in 1998, the internet bubble bursting in 1999, the 9/11 attacks and the collapse of Enron in 2001. You get the idea. A few years after that came the subprime crisis and the Great Recession. A few years after that was COVID. Each of these was described in its time as unprecedented. In a similar vein, our current age of technological advancement is often described as the greatest leap forward in human history, as something unprecedented. And we must ask ourselves, is it really? The Canadian polymath Václav Smil has made a convincing case that if at all any decade were to be ranked as the greatest decade of change in human history, even viewed from today, that decade should be the 1880s. In that decade came two of the greatest shapers of the modern world, electricity, both thermal and hydroelectric, and the internal combustion engine. That decade also saw the proof by Hertz of the existence of electromagnetic waves that paved the way for the wireless world of today. As an aside, also introduced in that decade were many everyday features familiar to us even today, including electric irons, steam turbines, coin-operated vending machines, Coca-Cola, the ballpoint pen, revolving doors, and the first electric elevator. Human existence has never been the same again. An old saw that is often attributed to Niels Bohr goes, quote, "It is hard to make predictions, especially about the future," unquote. All of us are familiar with famously wrong predictions about the possibilities of technology. In 1895, one of the world's most famous scientists, Lord Kelvin, stated flatly that, quote, "heavier than air flying machines are impossible," unquote. Yet in under a decade, the Wright brothers had proved him wrong. Predictions about the impact of technology are even more difficult. In 1994, in the early days of the internet, Bill Gates stated not once but twice that he saw little commercial potential in the internet. Bill Gates. A few years of enormous hype later, the economist Paul Krugman wrote that by 2005 or so, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than that of the fax machine. And he went on even more boldly to say, as the rate of technological change in computing slows, the number of jobs for IT specialists will decelerate and then actually turn down. And he predicted that 10 years from now, the phrase information economy will sound silly. One could not have been more wrong. In this context, I'm always reminded of Amara's law. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, but named after the Stanford computer scientist Roy Amara. Amara's law is really a heuristic. It's not really a law, but it's no less accurate for all that. Sometime in the 60s, Roy Amara is reputed to have made the statement that we tend to overestimate the impact of technology in the short term and then to underestimate it in the long term. In the short term comes hype. In the wake of the hype comes disillusionment. And then in the long term comes the real impact of the technology. Krugman's statement that the phrase information economy will sound silly, that was made in the late 1990s after the hype about the internet had subsided. But it is clear looking back from today that the internet has fundamentally shaped every aspect of our lives today. The scientist Matt Ridley has noted that the same thing has been true of the Human Genome Project. In its early days, 25 years ago, there was extraordinary hype about how cancer would be conquered inside a decade and so on. Much of that promise was not immediately realized, but the years since have seen enormous progress on that front too. On a less dramatic scale, in my own industry, in higher education, we have seen the impact of this in a different way. A decade or a little more ago, many of you will remember there were only two views on higher education. There were those who were strongly of the view that brick and mortar institutions like universities were dying and that Coursera, Udacity, edX, and the like represented the future of all education. Implicit in this view was that anything that could be learned in a classroom could also be learned online. At the other extreme, most of my colleagues, professors, believed that the classroom experience was irreplaceable in learning. When the COVID panic forced us all online, we learned that the truth was somewhere in between. There were some things that could be communicated well online, but some things really needed classroom interactions. And along the way, we also learned another valuable lesson, this about virtual meetings. In the early heady days of Zoom, when all of us were forced online, it seemed to many of us, myself included, that in-person meetings had just become redundant, that offices were no longer needed. That feeling lasted maybe 3 to 4 months, but during that period, I saw news articles that some of India's largest IT companies, for example, had decided to give up real estate and ask their employees to work from home, that there was a worry about the future of commercial real estate and so on. But that hype lasted a very short period of time. From the hype to its bursting was a relatively short period where we learned that innovation really required in-person interaction. Routine work could be done very well online via Zoom meetings, but real innovation required us to be in person. Today, even as we realize that Zoom has fundamentally altered the way we work, it has not replaced the office or even come close to it. And in this period between the internet bubble of the 1990s and the short-lived Zoom bubble of the 2020s lies another lesson. The gap between the hype dying and the reality altering our lives, that important cycle in Amara's law, is quite possibly because of technology getting shorter and shorter. And this, to me, I'm going to end without an answer to this question, represents one of the principal challenges of management today. Understanding where technology hype ends, including about AI, and where real value addition begins. This is the challenge that all of us are facing in every aspect of our businesses and our industries. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Raghu. Thank you for these insightful and thought-provoking remarks. Indeed, delving deep into the timeline of the ever-changing, enormously changing technology landscape. We knew it that there would be a special address from you, but nevertheless, we are very grateful to you for having participated in this event. With this, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would also request our esteemed guest, Ms. Arlene Palladino, the Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer at the Crum & Foster. She is, in fact, we call her an Amity family because she has been integrated into the system for long years now. Arlene, we are so pleased to have you with us today. Yes.
I want to spend time today kind of walking through how Crum & Forster, the company that I work for, has adopted AI and really integrated it into what we do. So if you could go to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about the company. We're located in Morristown, New Jersey, right around the corner from the FDU campus.
We write on both an admitted and a surplus lines basis. Filed statements are more flexible. Is for our customers. Enough, we have 2 legal entities that we write policies on that are each over 200 years old, which is amazing these days. A lot of companies don't make it past 25 years, but we've got 2 legal entities that have survived, you know, Civil War, a couple of world wars and everything like that. And we're rated A+ by S&P. That rating is at the Fairfax level. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Fairfax Financial Holdings up in Toronto, Canada. And then individually, we're rated A by AM Best. And AM Best is really the rating agency that an insurance company needs. They're looking at your credibility. They're looking to make sure that you've got adequate surplus to cover the needs of your policyholders as the policies mature and losses are reported. So if we could go to next slide. Oh, there we are. Yep, I'm just looking at your presentation. So when we started out on our AI journey, we wanted to make sure we were doing it for the right reasons, because I think a lot of times technology is really cool and we want to play around with it, but we really had some very specific objectives to meet along the way. Revenue enhancement. How can we make more money? How can we do things better? Lower our expenses in order to boost our revenue. Operational excellence, that gets into efficiencies and really optimizing what we do in both claims and policy handling. Underwriting efficiency, so we've got underwriters that write all those policies that we book. And how can we make their lives easier by giving them access to tools that might have been harder for them to get pre-AI? It helps us make data-driven decision-making. So it helps us filter through things that we might not want on a policy basis and pick the ones that we really do want to write. We get a lot of submissions in from brokers. We want to focus on the ones that really meet our appetite and will contribute to profitability. We want to have innovative product development. What other products are out there that we're not currently writing that we want to start writing? And it helps us really focus in on those and really to strengthen our competitive position in the marketplace. And I think that we've been able to achieve those. We'll go to the next slide. So I thought I'd feature today a way that we've implemented one from Forrester. So everybody uses ChatGPT these days. But when you use ChatGPT, all of your data, your private data, is going out into the World Wide Web. So if you upload information about your company, you might not want everybody on the World Wide Web to see that. Competitors could look at, or governmental agencies could look at. So we have a really good AI team, and they created Genie, which is our own internal ChatGPT tool. We made it accessible to everyone within the organization. In addition to having 2,500 employees, we also have about 300 to 400 consultants that work just like employees. I was in India in February at their Pune office, and I met with a lot of them. It's an offshore provider called Fulcrum that we work with. So working with the Fulcrum team and working with our own internal AI team at Crum, we created this internal ChatGPT tool, and I've outlined a couple of the different models that it has. It's got, OpenAI, Google, Meta, all of these, and a user can select whichever tool they wish to use. And because our employees use Genie so often, for a lot of the same types of queries, we've got in there that really promote efficiency. So if I'm an underwriter and I know I want to use one particular thing, I can go to some of the pre-engineered prompts, because as you probably know, you need to be very specific with what you ask ChatGPT in order to get the right answer. So these pre-engineered prompts have been very, very helpful in getting our people to the right answers. And it's connected to all of our internal data sources. If we go to the next slide, a couple of statistics on the use of Genie. So I mentioned we have 2,500 employees, 300 to 400 contractors. We've got 1,600 people within the organization that have unique user IDs in Genie. It's gotten about 120,000 requests. I was on it earlier today, working on something. And it's only been 1 year since we launched it. So about half of our employees have tried it. About 500 people use it each week, with about 1,100 prompts a day. And usage has nearly doubled in the last quarter. So we're continuing to really promote it because it does bring efficiency and accuracy to what we do. And then just a couple of statistics that ChatGPT is the 7th most visited website. It's really incredible. and that OpenAI has 60% of the Gen AI market. So I thought I'd share that with you too. So look at our journey into AI. So in November of 2022, ChatGPT was released. It was initially announced. The next month, our CEO, my boss, put it into a weekly letter that he writes to all employees, really saying, hey, have you checked it out? Really encouraging employees to use it. So initially my cyber team was very worried about that because then all the employees started using it on the World Wide Web before we had Genie available. So we just had to put some guardrails around it. But then you can see a month later, we had the AI team that was formerly our data services team, looking into how we could use AI. And in April, a few months later, my boss, Mark, the CEO, wrote a note saying, can ChatGPT write emails in my style? And Mark has a very unique style. It's a very interesting way that he crafts his emails. And yes, by August, we had implemented MarkBot, which mimics Mark's style of writing. We also have MetaMark, which is an AI version of Mark. So MetaMark has started some of our meetings for us and things like that. Yeah. But within a few months later, we were able to create this MarkBot. So you can go into it and it'll query all of his previous emails. We've loaded up all of his emails in there and it will write an email in Mark style, which is really unique. A few months later, we started saying, you know what we could really do? We could use it for claim efficiency. We get a lot of claims in every single day. And these claim documents are multiple, and a lot of them are in manual form. So you want to be able to use that. And we were able to upload those in a lot more efficient practice. 2 months later, we started working on our Genie model, our internal ChatGPT tool. And by April, only a few months later, Genie went live. So this group has really been working very actively within the organization. And then just as of last month, the team has about 30 plus Gen AI projects. And as I said earlier, about 1,600 CNF users, which is more than 50% of our employees are using it. So those are just some major milestones along the way. And the messaging here is, if we can do it, you can do it too. So I'd encourage everybody to use it. And you guys are at the forefront of your careers, integrating it into everything that you do. We'll go to the next slide. And I thought we'd just highlight a couple of use cases that our employees are using Gen AI for. So summary. So when we have a claim file, we write commercial lines accounts. So these are more sophisticated accounts. You get a lot of documentation in from lawyers. You've got third parties that are researching the claim attributes for you. So the team has written this summarization tool that you can load. I did this yesterday. I put in 7 contracts that were probably 50 pages each in PDF form. And I asked it to find me something. And it took a moment and it ran and it found me exactly what I needed to do. So it does the same thing for a claim adjuster when they've got a massive claim and they need to write notes. Let's say they need to go to another lawyer to get their advice. It'll summarize the claim notes. It'll take multiple sources and summarize them in a very nice way. It helps us write emails, documentation, blog posts. We've got an intranet that we write on. We create games, logos. I'll show you one in a little bit. We generate some ideas for presentation names. Sometimes I go into it. I write a president's report every quarter for Fairfax, our owner. And it's written kind of like a news style with headlines. And so I'll put the results of a particular division in for a quarter and say, write me a headline for this. And it'll come out with the newspaper headline. So it's very practical. We can search things. We have coding requirements. If there's anything that people need to search on a software basis, they can go into it. It's helped our developers write tests for new tools that they're using. And again, to the right here, you'll see that according to a recent MIT paper, that people that with access to ChatGPT complete their tasks in half the time with 20% better quality. So we really continue to encourage employees to use Genie and to leverage the chat capabilities. I have about 100 people in my organization. It's not just finance. I've got cyber and I've got procurement, things like that. But every employee in my organization has an objective this year to use ChatGPT or another AI tool to accomplish 2 to 3 objectives this year in order to either do things better or do things quicker or more accurately. So, okay, so next slide. Success factors, we need good talent, and we do. We have good talent at our company. You need proof of concepts. You want to know what you want to really get out of it. You want to be willing to experiment with it. You need time to do your research and development. You need to have a clear vision and purpose. Again, you don't just use it for the sake of using it. You use it to solve a business need. You should have curiosity, resilience, because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Try to be cost conscious because it's going to save you money in the long run too. And really a commitment to putting safety first. And honestly, our CEO played a pivotal role in making sure that we embraced ChatGPT and OpenAI as a concept. I'm not going to read the next slide in detail, but I wanted to show you just last year alone in 2024, innovative projects at CNF, about 25 that were worth, noteworthy. I'm into 4 pillars here with just a couple of examples, and I'm happy to share this presentation with you guys if you'd like to take time to look at it. But we put them into the 4 buckets of AI and automation, enhancing underwriting and pricing models, operational efficiency and process optimization, and advancing risk management visualization. Still have a couple more slides, but
Very innovative.
So what you have to be aware of when you're using ChatGPT and other AI products, there are risks, there's hallucinations. Sometimes the data is not available. You really need to check the output that you get. So what have we done? Well, we've implemented some guardrails. We keep human intervention in the loop. So we want to make sure that people are assessing the accuracy of it. And we really do apply it initially to low risk use cases. We also have a policy that we've released that dictates the safe use of AI. And a disclaimer is in Genie. I mean, I logged onto it earlier and it bold letters, it said, not everything I tell you is accurate, so be careful. And then finally, what are we doing in the upcoming year? We'll go to the next slide. In 25 and 26, we're looking to put embedded AI integrated into our systems and applications. Most insurance companies are dinosaurs. I mentioned we've got companies that are over 200 years old. We've got an antiquated infrastructure in a lot of ways too. We really want to get AI integrated into how we process things. Agentic AI, really making decisions for us with less oversight. So we're going to start with something simple and do it on that basis. Newer versions of Genie will come out with more enhancements, and research and development, really making sure that we stay on top of technology that's available, use it in a safe and responsible manner. And my last slide is using AI. I'm the Sistine Chapel of my client, Sistine Chapel, but showing the connection between automation and human intervention. And again, as my IT people keep telling me, you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by people who use AI. So I encourage all of you to really adopt it and use it in what you do.
Wonderful presentation. Give a huge applause to her. We have also been joined by Miss Mary, who has not only helped to bring the industry persons, but is helping hundreds of students across the globe. I saw her organizing sessions in London early this year with the HSBC and with Jeffrey, but extremely grateful for what you are doing for the students, for the research scholars, and trying to bring a meaningful change in their life. Give a huge applause to her. Very instrumental, very instrumental in organizing things. Thank you. Over to you,
Very much, sir. Thank you, Ali, for this very brilliant remark. Talking about Government Hospital, you all know it's a very futuristic organization. What a timely adoption strategy taken by the company. With this, I would request our next
Before
speaker.
I call the best, I would request Mr. Professor Gaurav Shekhar, because he has a flight to Dallas. Requested that can I be brief, and he has a short slide to share with you. I would request Gaurav to please take over. Gaurav, I'll run your slides for you.
You can take this one, I think. Okay. This works.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I think we've heard a lot of great things about the future of the industry, and I would like Dr. Sundaram's words that, being from the business school, coming here and speaking at an IEEE conference is very humbling. Knowing that, we've got the experts here. I'm not talking to somebody who doesn't know stuff that I'm going to talk about. And you definitely, as youngsters and people who are invested in education, have a very fresh outlook to some of the problems that these jaded eyes look at in a very different way. Does anybody know the gentleman on the left? If anybody says yes, I'm going to leave the stage. Well, it's Mr. Doug Dietz from GE Healthcare, but you know what's there on the right hand side, right? Everybody knows. Now, it would not take too much of your IQ to put it together that he's the person who invented it. Now, if you invent something, what is the one thing that you do? You feel proud about it, you feel good about it. And if you walked into a hospital which had this machine there, what would you do? You probably want to go to the place where this machine is installed, right? And if somebody who's operating there doesn't know who you are, what would you do? Again, you would try to just pass a smirk at them and tell them what I am. And this is exactly what it was quickly shut down. It was quickly shut down because the operator, the lab technician, was very busy with the tests. And he didn't want to listen to who this gentleman is. He probably did not hear what he had to say. But Mr. Dietz just stopped there for a little bit and he just observed what is happening. And he saw a lot of people. Now, people, if you're there in the hospital, you're not having a good time. Either you're not having a good time or somebody that is there with you is not having a good time. So it's not a very good place. It doesn't smell really the way you would want it. It's a lot of clinical stuff around you. But what he saw was that there was a stretcher that was brought into the room. This stretcher has a kid on it. And this kid was terrified. Now think of a terrified kid. Some of us have been that terrified kid. They're being brought into the hospital. It's not the best experience, especially for the parents. It's a nightmare. This machine costs $5 million. Now, if you had invested $5 million to buy this, what is a limited entity in a day? Time? Can't have more than 24 hours. Even if your facility ran 24 hours, there were only so many tests that you could do. Now, as a business person, you want to get your money back as quickly as possible. So what would you do? Would you skyrocket the price of the test? You probably would not do that, because if you do that, people will not come to your lab. So you have a lot of issues there. So the only thing you could do is make sure that every time a test is done, it's a valid test. You don't have to redo your work. You're more efficient with the number of tests. So, and every time when people would come in, there would be, like, let's say a person A would come in, they would take 10 minutes. The person B might take 30 because of a lot of false positives. Now, while they're taking pictures, images of you in this, there is one very important requirement. You have to stay still. You can't move. I imagine that kid who was frightened. Will that kid be still? Kids took 3 times more time than an average human adult to do the test. So the number of tests that were happening here were way lesser than what was promised. And while that was happening, people were not adopting this machine. They would have it just to have it there, but they would not invest. If you were not a large output, you would not put that $5 million. And that's a problem for Doug Dietz and GE. Thinking about this was a fantastic machine. They put the human at the middle of this machine. They said, let's see what the person looks like. And this is what they came out with. This was, now if an adult is put into this machine, fine, you can tell them that, you know what, this is a fancy machine, just stay quiet, let me take a few pictures. But for kids, this became an adventure. So depending on whatever place you were at, you would put different decals, Alice in Wonderland, Captain Cook's Chef, Disneyland. And now for kids, this became an adventure. So the technician would not tell you that you have to keep quiet, but they would say, Captain Cook is on the ship and he has spotted you. Can you make sure he doesn't find you? And you have to stay still. And the minute you do that, the technician would take the pictures. So they were able to severely reduce the amount of time that they were spending. What I'm getting to all of you at an IEEE event where technology is the word, is that every problem that we're going to talk about will have the humans at the middle center of it. Even with the giant strides we're taking with AI, it is at the end of the day a human being that is being. So if you pivot your solution, then start thinking of that human first, and then think about how, whether you're using the chat GPTs of the world, you're using any of the agents out there, whatever. See, we are in the new phase of AI. 10 years later, maybe there's some other 2 or 3 letter acronym that is going to change the world. But at the end of it, there's always going to be a human being. Can we go to the next slide? This was the number in 2017, where the number of people who were using AI in any function of their company. Can you guess what this number has changed to now? 100 is not the answer. 100 is too extreme. 30, 50, let's see what the number is. 60, they come from a very educated university. Can we go to the next slide?
Wow.
72. None of you got your money back. You were very close. Yes. So in 2024, at least one of the business functions, and to Arlene's point, it's not just about, hey, let's just get on, start using it. Take very conscious thing, put for using new technology. The last thing you want is your trade secret, stuff that you're doing, personal information, sensitive information going out and getting into hands of people who might misuse it. Next one, please. Even if you can't read the numbers there, you just see the amount of growth in terms of the data that's available. And Vice Chair, Dr. Sorry, I'm a very good friend of Dil Bhatia, so but Mr. Dr. Udit here talked about that the usable data is very less. We are in that stage where we are surrounded by heaps and heaps and heaps of data, but we just don't know what to do. Ever encountered a situation? Forget data. You all have that you don't know, right? And that stuff that you don't need, but you're too emotional about it. You can't throw it away. But that's what organizations are also facing right now. That they have all of this at their hand, but they don't know what to do. I mean, you all watch movies, the hundreds and thousands of movies. Can you quickly get to the movie that you want to watch? Not really, right? But if you all took a flight here, how many options did you have? You were able to find your movie very quickly. Because I think this was the 1992 Nobel Prize winner for economics, Linus Pauling. He said, I think it's I'm not able to quote him correctly, but what he said is that the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of data creates the you have a lot of data available, but you're not able to get stuff out. And that is what our next big problem is going to be. We have all these tools at hand, but what is the use case? Who are the users? How do we go about it? Now, when ChatGPT came out, you all were using it and whatnot. But you know what? One of these days, all are it just happens because because what is missing out? We're using a tool, but we are letting the tool kind of do the stuff that it is required to do in our lives. And that's not how AI is going to be used. So think about what those use cases are. And this doesn't really require you to have very specific skills always. In fact, one of the greatest achievements of AI is that osmosis happen between different places. I heard some of you were pursuing journalism or different degrees. You all can be a part of the same team that is working on the same objective. With the different skills that you have, where you will specialize into something, but you will have knowledge about something else where there is another specialist who's working. Non-programmers will not be turned into programmers. But at the same time, it will give enough idea to people to kind of work on a product at the end of the day. Now, how many of you use Instagram here? All of you use Instagram. If you don't use Instagram, well, you must have a very peaceful life. What's not in attention span? When you talk about Instagram, and let's say your Instagram is laggy, what do you say? Oh, maybe the Ruby script is not working today. Do you say that? Or maybe the server calls are not good today with things. You don't say that. You don't talk like that. You say this product is bad. So whether you know how it works or not, at the end of the day, every user only looks at the outcomes, which is the usage that it wants. Can I check out my feed? Can I like people's photos? Can I post something? So keep that in mind. At the end of the day, this new age is about figuring out what those use cases are. And I'll just make a last statement. I think I can just not go with the rest of the in the interest of time. But think of AI as your assistant, not as your replacement. Because AI will do the grunt work for you. Because that grunt work, the steps are there. We know what those A to Z steps are. What it requires you to do is to figure out what those new problems, what those new use cases are. And then your ability to decimate those problems into smaller chunks, that can now be handed over to AI to kind of figure out what needs to be done. And at the end of the day, take care of your users, take care of the humans that are using this. I'll tell you, you will have a very, very long career when it comes to a very successful career in technology or whatever you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Gaurav Shekhar, what an enthralling presentation. I've heard praises from your students about you. There are many who are known to us, but nonetheless, it was a pleasure to hear you in person. With this, we move forward to one of our even more iconic speakers and panelists, Mr. Allas Garten, the Senior Management Consultant, Hearst Technology Services. Over to you, sir.
When I was asked to join topics about engineering, technology, and management, I said this is right up my alley because I spent a career of 43 years working for a media company, but my career was anchored in an MBA I got from Fairleigh Dickinson. So, you know, thanks, Michael. So this is a little bit about me, but you can see that I've worked in technology most of my career, but my foundation was working in finance, and now I'm in industry consulting, focusing most of my efforts on helping companies with process automation, artificial intelligence, strategic transformation of management. Next slide.
Sure.
So I was just going to briefly talk about two things. And again, we talked a lot about AI today, and I am going to talk about AI, but I lump it into a broader category, technology innovation. But there's so many facets. We talked about quantum, we talked about cyber, we talked about cloud. There's so many elements of this that everything that we want to talk about AI, there's so many things that and implementation and having transformational leadership is essential to also complement that to make the changes that are necessary as we approach the next slide, please. I recently read Bill Gates' new book, and he was quoted as saying, artificial intelligence will ultimately render humans unnecessary for most things. I'm not sure I completely agree with that, but it's a pretty bold statement. But there is a concept of something called artificial general intelligence. Has anybody heard about AGI? What it is saying that AGI aims to achieve human level of intelligence, and the consensus is it's going to happen in the next 7 to 10 years. So we really need to get in front of the curve, prepare for what's happening, and then harness the power of artificial intelligence appropriately. Next slide. We heard them talk before about dark clouds, and I'm sure many of you, like me, follow the news every day. These are the dark clouds. If you're out there looking at what's happening in the environment, you know, there are so many things that are out there that require our attention and require technology to help figure out a roadmap to go forward. So I just wanted to highlight some of those things to go forward. Next slide. This is a little bit about my background in my company and a little bit about my history. I was working in finance, and I was one of the first 6 people in a company of 20,000 people to get a personal computer in the early 1980s. And we were challenged back then with processing power and storage. Then we built our first networks. These guys are familiar. I built a token ring network, and you know the transmission speeds were so archaic. We were just limited by all the factors that surrounded us. You know, managing data as we went forward, networks, infrastructure, servers, all became obstacles to us as we came over. And then I was faced with the challenge of saying, how do we automate all of this? And what we worked through was building up more and more capacity and trying to get capacity one step ahead of the technology. And ultimately, when the cloud came along, we were able to achieve that by putting all our data and our systems into the cloud, putting in place gateways that enabled us to do that. and I make all these points leading to us coming to the point of artificial intelligence, with all those barriers and obstacles that were out there before, leading up to the fact that we didn't have the capacity of storage to do something that wasn't ready to develop. And now we can really focus on artificial intelligence. Next slide, please. So this is a little bit, I wanted to show you the picture of the world I'm living in. I know it's a little bit of an eye chart, but I'm working in media. These are the facets of media, and we're focusing on content creation, content distribution, content management, and all the tools that are associated with that when you work within a media organization. I try to keep up with the tools that are coming out on the market, but it's a never ending path to try to keep so exceedingly fast that it's hard to keep up with them. But in just the short world of the evolution of artificial intelligence are the tools that are out there and the tools that are available to journalists and other people that are supporting the media industry to use artificial intelligence in impactful ways today. Next slide, please. I gave a lecture recently, and one of the things that I thought would be intriguing was to ask some people some questions about this. And this focuses in on the ethical uses of AI. And as I start to consult with clients and talk to people about things that I'm doing, I'm asking them, how is AI impacting their life? Do you expect it to change in the future? Should AI systems be granted equal rights and protections? And these are issues that I think are being addressed now with our regulators and our politicians. I think the key issues that have business leaders is how does the ethical issues of AI impact their business? Is there going to be job displacement? Is there going to be issues that they're going to have to deal with? And again, even if it's not something they're addressing today, it's something that's going to be on the roadmap that they need to address in the future. And the opportunity in healthcare, the opportunities to address climate issues are so vast that we're only at the precipice of what that could mean. And again, I'm a big fan of Bill Gates, and I was sitting here and speaking with him. And as many of you probably heard, the letter agreed to donate a $200 million fortune to help issues going forward. And some of the things he was talking about this morning is, can he use AI to find a cure for HIV? Can he use AI to find other more advanced treatments for other diseases that are out there? And his view is he's got a 20-year perspective of what he thinks he wants to spend his $200 billion on, and he has the goal of eradicating all these things going forward. So I think it's a very noble perspective on how to do this, and AI is going to be at the forefront of this because he's empowering scientists and physicians to find these cures using these. Next slide, please. Just talking briefly about transformational leadership. I think how companies embrace and implement technology is going to be key to how they succeed going forward. And transformational leadership addresses employees' attitudes, beliefs, and values. And I think that's a key issue that companies are going to need to do a lot of work in to help develop a client, an employee base that addresses these issues. Specifically in media, there's changing viewer habits, competition from alternative viewing platforms like streaming. And, these things are going to have to be dealt with, and they're going to have to be dealt with through process efficiency, as we saw some of those AI tools out there, and also in educating your employee workforce. Next slide, please. And I just put together some of the characteristics of transformational leadership in terms of key things that you need to look at in terms of establishing a culture of risk-taking and innovation, educating people on emerging technology and industry trends we were just talking about, developing strategic roadmaps, encouraging communication and feedback from the people that are using the tools, creating facilities to evaluate the success of new technologies, creating labs within your organization, training employees in the new technology and ensuring that impactful decision support systems are available to people. So I think it's a critical message to students that they have
to broaden their horizon of the things that they have to do as they enter the workforce. All of these skill sets. How can I be a contributing member to a company by embracing this new technology and skills? So I think that's about it. I wanted to end with a quote I found from a prominent business leader, and I think it was on point to some of what we had talked about just now in terms of the fact that now more than ever, the world needs transformational leaders, not to cultivate change for its own sake, but to lead through the inevitable evolution of business and human society. So I think that sums it up very nicely. Thank you.
Right, nice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Les Garten. Some food for thought for all of us. And I think presentation. A huge round of applause for the speaker. With this, I would also request our esteemed panelist, Professor Arun Somani, College of Engineering, Iowa State University, to deliver his remarks. Good evening.
Is this one? Okay. So I chose not to prepare any slides. But my number in the list of speakers is
Thank you.
a lot of things will be already talked. I'm not surprised that they have been talked about. But what I'd like to talk to you about is the disruption, the word disruption, which have been used by Dr. Sundarajan in his talk. And the first disruptions he mentioned, and this morning I was thinking about what would that be as well. So in my notes, if I look at it in my sheet, it said electricity. Think about electricity, and if it is not there today, what we could not have done. Or suppose it disappears today from the face of this earth, where would you be? Can you imagine life without electricity? Probably not, right? Once about a few years back, I talked to my students, said, what is one thing which will disrupt you most? And this person's answer was her cell phone, which was about 10 years back. So cell phone became a technology which was disruptive for many of us. Today, can you imagine you can live without a cell phone? No. Suppose you lost it, and actually it did happen with me one time, then my power went off. Because electricity disappeared in my phone. And so I had no idea where I was going or whom to call. But I could remember hundreds of numbers myself. I've talked to Guru saying I should have be able to call him because I met him 10, 20 times. I called him 10, 20 times. I can't do anything. I have no idea what his number is, right? So that's the disruption. The AI, in my view, is a disruption. But let's go back to fundamentals. Is AI new? It's new. Somebody said yes. I completely disagree. Just because I'm the oldest person in the room, probably. If somebody wants to challenge me, I'll take the challenge. But I programmed my first course. I took my first course in AI in 1982. By the way, that still doesn't reveal my correct age. If you're going to use your AI tool, you'll not be able to guess my age from that. But I did program AI in 1982 in my first course. We used to use a programming language called Lisp, which I'm 100% sure nobody has heard about it here. You remember that in IEEE?
Absolutely.
Okay, somebody remembers. So I will not now challenge everybody. But I programmed it in Lisp. And that time I programmed it to play Bridge, which was one of my favorite game on computer, card game, which I used to play. And I programmed it to do that. So in sense is not new. Is data new? No. Hundreds of us have been, for hundreds of years, we have been collecting data on different topics. Just 2 days back, I was sitting in a meeting where we were talking about what are the new use cases for the data. I come from the town called Ames, Iowa, where we had the State University. And by the way, if you don't know, I had to plug this in, that Iowa State University was the first one to design a digital computer. And ENIAC, which is claimed to be the first one, is not the one. And there's a book about it, there's a movie about it, there's everything about it. And if you go to Computer Museum, you see that. So that's what another disruption. Today's AI is possible to process the amount of data we have because we have the computing power. When you just mentioned about the person got yours one, and I actually bought mine from Michael Dell directly from his garage when he started a company. Wow. I paid $825 for a 40, listen to it carefully, 40 megabyte disk. $825. I still have the original receipt with me. That's one of the things I don't want to throw out of my basement, although my wife made me throw my. I did. But that costed me $2,500, and $825 was only for the disk. And the Microsoft operating system cannot handle a 40 megabyte disk. You might remember that. So I had to partition it as two drives, C and D. A and B were reserved for the floppy disk, and C and D were reserved for the hard disk. And I had to make the operating system be fooled that these are two 25 megabyte disks. This disk is one, another half is another one. So that is how the disruptions work. So that personal computer at that time enabled me to do a lot of things that I could not do without it. Today, the AI is possible because we have the computing power of, all of you know now the word, GPU. I don't know how many of you can actually spell it out exactly correctly, what it means. Anybody wants to take a shot at it? What a GPU stands for?
Graphic processing.
That's part of it, right? The 5 letters, GPU. The GPU stands for graphics processing unit. The first GPU stands for general purpose. So GPUs came first as a graphics engine and then became general purpose graphics engine that we can program now to get what we want to get from the data. Just because you can feed a lot of data, just because you can get a lot of results, does not mean what you're getting is correct, is trustworthy, is reliable, is efficient, is ethical. Think about all these aspects of computing, which we do today under the name AI. And you hear a lot of horror stories in the media about how fake pictures, how fake news, somebody referred to fake news earlier. President always liked to use the word fake news. That can disrupt a lot of things. So when you're talking about disruptions, to 25-year-olds, when I got my first job as 22, 23 age, the job given to me was design an anti-submarine warfare system for Indian Navy. Okay. I did not know what a ship is. I did not know what a submarine is. I did not know what a weapon is. I did not know how to launch a torpedo. I did not know how to launch a rocket. I did not know what sensors I could use. That was my first job. And 8 years later, we did deliver 2 ships, the anti-submarine warfare system for Indian Navy, Taragini and Nagini. I'm sure they are old now to be thrown away. And the ships are not the ships, but the systems. But that was the challenge given to us, and we were asked to do it first time in India. The MIT University claims that they were the first university education challenge, and I believe in that. MIT University and Iowa State University, and I personally have been connected with MIT University for almost 10 years now, in many different aspects, developing joint programs, bringing students some additional opportunity in many ways. But those kind of disruptions were asked of us. And basically what I'm trying to do is to challenge you that as 25-year-olds, which all of you are under that at this point in time, you should be thinking about what disruptions I will make, which will replace or displace what we have something going today. It will be challenge. It will be difficult. It will not be easy, but the reward is so enormous. And that's what I did something, but I'm glad they repeated because that's what I wanted to repeat. So it makes sense, right? The point, to take the challenge, be ready for it. Yes, we have tools available. These tools will keep coming every few years. A new one will come. We just heard about a version of ChatGPT, the version of Genie now. I can't use it, but I know I can understand what it is. Every company has data. Every company has their data secret. They don't want to share with their competition, with other people, those who should not know. And everybody has other data which is not that useful either. But how to make use of it, how to design a tool which can be used for different companies with their own data. That was one of the things I did for Boeing company when I was designing a tool for them. No airline will share their maintenance data with you. They don't want to, because that's their trade secret. They don't want to tell you when the plane is failing, how many times it's failing, what's happening. On the other hand, FAA will allow you to take off even when there's a problem, a known problem in the plane, if you know what it is, so that they're already taking care of it. So we had to design a tool where that data will be of airline, the tool will be of Boeing, and they can use it to create the maintenance schedule, which is most cost effective for them. Something is going wrong at Newark, maybe they want to go take the plane to Chicago and maintain it there because the maintenance facilities there are appropriate for them. So designing those kind of things is important. But anyway, the ultimate message from my perspective is, and although I've been there 70 years plus and learning every day something new, one of the things I like to be with the university is that I live always with 25-year-old. So I have to be on my toes all the time. I have to compete with you, right? To be just one step ahead of you in some cases, and you have to be just one step ahead of me in some cases, depending on which degree you are trying to earn. And then if you're doing a PhD, you have to be able to tell me that you did something new. If you're getting an undergraduate, I should be able to tell you that this is what you need to learn. That's what I mean by edge. And we need to work with that. Finally, I want to go back to Dr. Singh's statement earlier. He quoted that there are two kind of people. Those who can do will do it. Those who cannot do will tell others to do it or how not to do it. You want to be the first kind of person.
Absolutely.
Right? That's a very powerful message, that you want to be the person who can do it and will do it.
Right.
Always think. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Samani. Yet another Amity ambassador. We are thankful to you for your support always. With this, I would invite our next speaker, very special guest. I'd say, in my own domain, that an American by chance, an Indian by choice, and my friend by soul, Mr. Stephen Boza. You heard him and his fondness and love for India. Stephen, over to you for some special remarks yet again.
Well, hi, everybody. This is absolutely fantastic. Years to build these things. You guys, and I told you this when I spoke to you, you should be so excited that you're coming out into the world at this moment in time, because I think there's going to be, where it took 30 years to get to this level of how technology affects our lives. I'm convinced, and it's been said by really smart people like Bill Gates, that there's going to be a compressed speed of adoption of technologies. And I'm in India quite a bit. I shared that with you guys. I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm a pharmaceutical guy. India is a juggernaut in all things pharmaceutical life sciences. I've had the pleasure of traveling all over the country. I was just there. I spent a lot of time in Bangalore when I was just there. And of course, the data center of the world, the most coders in the world, the most brain power. And I think India specifically is so well positioned to have the next 50 years of just absolute ascendance to greatness in every respect. And even though there's a diverse set of majors and things that you guys are studying, all of you can expect to have tremendous careers right out of India, given all that's happening right now. And I was just in Hyderabad, and I met with G.V. Prasad. He's chairman of Dr. Reddy's Labs, kind of a celebrity in India. I asked him, what gets you psyched about, because he's chairman now. The CEO is the guy that has to deal with the day-to-day. But the chairman, he's like, I just get to think all day. This is pretty great. So
I asked him what gets him psyched, and he goes, we're using these AI tools now. For example, we're using AlphaFold, which is a Google-driven product now that predicts protein folding, and it's using an AI engine behind it. And I told you all this, and I hope you all watch this. If you want to watch any one movie, it's only like an hour and 30 minutes long. It's on YouTube. It's called AlphaGo. It's about the Google team, the DeepMind with Dennis Habasis, who designed the game to play the program to play the game Go. And they play the champion of Korea, Lee Sedol, and this all was a tournament in Korea. It was huge. And if you watch, it's called AlphaGo. It's on YouTube. It is such a brilliant look at humans and AI interacting together in a competition that's mind-blowing. And that was years ago. And now you have the same gentleman, Dennis Habasis, just won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry because AlphaFold was the next generation of that program. So you guys are so envious and jealous. I want to be you in so many ways because of what you're going to be going into in your careers, even if starting out now. And I really, another thing that hit me, there was a seminar here at FDU about AI not too long ago with pharma professionals, so people that were in the pharma industry. And this one woman, she was brilliant, she's from Novartis. She said, we have a new program at our company, and I want you guys to take this to heart. She goes, we have a reverse mentoring program. And at first, what does that mean, reverse mentoring? She goes, well, our younger employees tend to adopt technology so much faster than our older employees. We actually have sessions where we're helping employees that are hesitant to use certain tools, have younger people who are just, it's second nature, actually do some reverse mentoring. So all of you have a new job, you're gonna be reverse mentors. You're gonna help dinosaurs like me and companies to understand how to use some of these technologies, use that as a platform to show your importance in an organization and how you can be helpful with a new approach, maybe to solve a problem. It's an opportunity for you to because you're so embedded in this already, to join organizations and be at that level of kind of helping. As of course you take the years to learn a trade, learn a company, be patient as well. Again, there's been a lot of wisdom distilled in this conversation, and I think you're all on this brilliant path. When I'm asked sometimes, what is my ultimate dream of AI, I tend to get pretty specific in one area. I picture a world, imagine if, this is already in the present. Every single scientific journal article ever written in every journal has been uploaded. And there are people writing code to say, hey, there may have been some obscure article about the property of the electron in this physics journal, and then here's a journal about crystallography of certain metals, and here's the Journal of the American Medical Association trying to develop a new cancer treatment. Wait a second. We could connect different things here, and it will spit out something so interesting, because no human being has or group of human beings has the capability to upload the entirety of all scientific journals. I joke around, my good friend's a physician, and I go to his home, he's a surgeon, and he has the Journal of the American Medical Association still in the plastic wrap, all piled up on his dining room table. And I'm like, do you ever read any of these? He goes, I don't have time to read, I'm a surgeon, I don't read these anymore, I don't have to read a journal, are you on your mind? But AI just did the grunt work. It will upload all of it, and it can start, if you query it correctly, and it's got the right software behind it, out can come something brilliant. And I shared with you guys that antibiotic example of where this is one of the first AI-driven drugs, which was, design a new antibiotic effective against these bacteria with these current mutations that won't have side effects, and it spit out a structure that had never been synthesized by human beings. Turns out it worked in clinic, and this is a world now that I'm immersed in, is how is AI going to help drug discovery? And the really cool news about India is a lot of this work is going to be happening in India. So again, it's a pleasure to speak to you guys. I'm jealous. I wish I was you. You should all be looking forward to an extremely bright future. What an opportunity. You've been in the United States, you've been in London. Amity has provided such an opportunity for you all. And when I see all these other universities collaborating, it's mind-blowing. I think that this was a dream of someone that built this. And the fact that you're going to spend time here at FDU, my alma mater, and get to know what this campus is about, and see New York City and have these experiences, I really hope, I know it's transformative for all of you. And you'll look back on these times someday and be like, wow, that was an amazing, what Amity provided for me was just fantastic. So go out, do great things, and it's just a pleasure to see you all again.
Thank you, Stephen, for this ever-engaging and very enchanting presentation. I could see all the eyes and ears glued to the stage. You're always doing the best. With this, I would call the second last speaker for this panel, Ms. Tashina Girard, the Director of International Partnerships and Strategic Initiatives at the American University in Washington, D.C. Ashina, thank you for waiting. Thank you for your patience. Over to you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Singh, for this invitation. It is so exciting to be back with Amity after just seeing you a few weeks ago. You talked about seeing me at a conference, but I think everybody should know that it was actually you who grabbed me during the conference, sat me down, and said that we have to go fast, we have to get this going because our students need to work together. And only a couple of weeks later, we're ready to sign a new part of our partnership, and we're very excited to be here. Also thank IEE and everybody in the room. So a lot of these students who are in the room actually met me maybe about 2 weeks ago when they came to our campus. Thank you again for taking the time to come. I know you were hungry, and I hope that it was an interesting trip for you. But I was told, stay in 5 minutes, don't make slides. I'm at the end of this amazing group of panelists. And so I asked ChatGPT to write it, since this was the subject, right? Yeah. So I asked ChatGPT, and then of course, like we've said, some good ideas came out of it, and some things were maybe not worth quoting. But what I did love is that when they're giving examples of universities who are integrating AI, especially business schools, our own business school, Kogod Business School, actually came up. And I don't know if it did this because I'm the one who asked for it, but it was quite an interesting experience. Marut asked me to talk a little bit about trends in engineering and management education. Of course, we don't have an engineering school. We focus more on computer science. But one thing that I'd like just to say is a lot of people come by already talking about, disruption, innovation. We do need to remember and focus on the precious people skills that we have. It's part of what's going to keep us in our jobs throughout the long run, is understanding how to use the tech, innovate with the tech, disrupt with the tech. But it's those precious people skills that AI does not have, at least today. And how do we apply all of these theories and these technologies, and how we put science in the service of society? How do we enhance learning outside of the classroom? And how do we use technology to augment our capacity rather than be in a situation of planned obsolescence? And so when you look at the computer education side, a lot of what we're looking at and we're seeing emerge really is the integration of soft skills, looking at how we use our soft skills when we're adopting new technologies. All right. There's also a lot of focus on sustainability and service and its different areas. How do we use computer science, use our technology to get service of our communities? I can give one good example. We have a professor who works on how he uses machine learning to predict the reoccurrence of breast cancer, right? So taking a technology and putting it at the service of others. Another one of our faculty who just made it in the top 2% of scientists in her field works on machine learning, but also really is focused more recently on the ethical use of AI, right? Looking at how do we apply these technologies in real life? How do we put them at the service of our society and our community? And that's really what we also need to be focusing on. It's not just how do we innovate, but these innovations have consequences. And somebody earlier was talking about electricity, right? When we first created the first electricity plants, we had no idea what the negative externalities of creating electricity and bringing electricity to the world was going to cause. When we, I think when we made the nuclear bomb, we knew where we were going with that, right? But there are a lot of these new technologies where we cannot even understand today what these negative externalities are going to be. And so we need to try to the best of our extent, with the best of our knowledge, to use it in responsible manners. And this is also a preoccupation of a lot of large companies. A few months ago, we had the president of Microsoft who came, and that was the focus of his talk. It was on using AI responsibly and how we do this. But if we don't innovate, we wouldn't have light bulbs. If we wouldn't have the electricity that we have. And it's important that we continue innovating, and we're doing it in an ethical manner. And right now there is a race, right? We've seen the Chinese emergence of their generative AI, the competition with ChatGPT, the internal tools that we have. And I'm actually really jealous. I wish I didn't have to ask ChatGPT to help me, but I wish I had an internal software. But we have to look at what we're doing in a responsible manner. And what I just did by saying, hey, ChatGPT, tell me what I should say, is something that I know you're all doing. I actually asked the question when you were visiting us. I said, how many people use AI? And people were very hesitant to answer. You could see it, but we all use it. But it's how we use it that's important. right? And I'm going to give another example, a recent example of a couple of students from India who are applying to a program who basically had the exact same motivational essay. They both had asked ChatGPT with probably the same prompts to write it for them. And so this is not a responsible use of these type of tools. And you're using them now and you're going to be using them in the future. You must use them in the future, but just learn what the scope and the parameters of the responsible use of each tool. When it comes to education around management, after a long series of stakeholder engagement, our business school really reshaped our education, our current programs around three main pillars: professionalism, sustainability, and yes, AI, the big word of the day, right? We're really looking at those precious people skills. Again, professionalism, those are the soft skills. Where a lot of companies are telling us, yes, it's great that the students understand tech. It's great that they get them really quickly, but we need to make sure that we help them develop their emotional intelligence, their communication, their cultural competence. It's extremely important that you don't just come with tech or pure business or theory models, but remember how to use them and be professional when you come to work. It's actually why we grade professionalism instead of participation now, which can seem kind of strange for some students. Of course, the integration of AI, data analytics is extremely important. And this is why we've actually transformed all of our graduate business programs into STEM designated programs. We've brought in a lot more analytics and quantity aspects to our programs. And of course, every single student that comes out, be they undergraduate or graduate, has to be able to incorporate AI into their jobs, innovate with it, disrupt with it. They need to be the people who get the jobs. As you said, you're going to take the jobs because you will know how to use the AI properly, right? We've even launched an Institute for Applied AI. Again, we're saying, how do you use AI? How are you applying this AI, hopefully in an ethical and responsible manner? Because you're going to be doing that. And on a global field, we see a lot of interdisciplinary curriculum. So we're looking at, we just built an online degree for international relations and business. And there's another one on campus for data science, for political science. We're looking at the intersection of these technologies, these disruptive technologies, and some that are not that disruptive. One of my colleagues said that data has been around for a long time, right? And politicians have used data for a very long time to help them shape policies, help them through their campaigns. Just now, it's becoming a science and an art to be, how do you use this data, the new technologies, the new platforms, social media, all of these things have really transformed the world of political science as well. So a lot of our programs are going to be interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, transdisciplinary, whatever way you want to package it. But we really do see this mix of students who are maybe computer science majors and taking a second degree in business, or vice versa. They want to innovate and they want to sell their ideas. And so it's really not that hard to understand. And there's also a globalization and diversity in the types of partnerships we're doing. That kind of brings me back to the partnership that we're signing with Amity. We'll be offering students the ability to start their studies in India and finish with us at both the undergraduate and graduate areas. Students want to finish faster. They don't want to do long studies. They want to finish, if possible, the fast tracks. And so the traditional US models of 4 years to begin and then tacking on another 2 years is less attractive. And so students want to go faster, but we're getting a greater demand. And even as I was talking to you, a message popped up on LinkedIn from a different Indian university who's like, hey, can we do 1+1s? Can we do 2+2s? And I don't even know them. There is a huge demand right now where a couple of years ago, when I started trying to get people to do this, people looked at me like I was selling a timeshare or some kind of a carpet. And now things have really changed. And I'm so impressed and excited to see the first US institution opening a full campus in India. I'm jealous in many ways and just really admiring the work that some of our colleagues are doing. We're working on establishing our partnerships and working through partnerships. And, partnerships like the one we're doing with Amity really are linked to the weather. We were saying there's dark clouds, right? Our colleague from Illinois, dark clouds. Well, dark clouds can also produce rain that leads to new life and growth. And so these kind of partnerships are what we use to plant the seeds that will bring and lead us to building and growing a more sustainable and equitable future. So Some clouds can be very productive for our world, and let's just hope and transform our situation into what we need to build the future that we want. And so as you're going off, and most of you will probably continue your studies somewhere, maybe in the United States, maybe you're going to go back to London. Whatever you do, pick something that will allow you to be agile, that's going to allow you to innovate, that's going to give you the actual tools, not just the tech, but also those personal skills, those soft skills that will allow you to remain competent, aware, and not obsolete. And so, that's the part that ChatGPT could not talk about, right? But in the end, I just thank you very much for this. I think I've stayed in my 5 minutes. I promised no slides. And so, again, the students are happy to contact me. They've had my LinkedIn if they have any questions. And again, thank you again to Dr. Sharma, Dr. Singh, and Marut over there for everything that they've done to help build this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tashina. It was an equal pleasure and honor to have you with us online. With this, we come to our last speaker, and as we say, we keep the best for the last. We have with us Mr. Kishan Srivastava, the Chief Executive Officer and the co-founder of SDLC Corporation. He's from California, but currently, look at his dedication. He's joining us from India, almost past midnight. Over to you, Mr. Kishan.
Thanks, Professor Marut. Thanks, Professor Singh. Thanks for inviting me on this prestigious panel. So it's a great opportunity to be part of this panel. So I will briefly introduce about myself and company. So my name is Kishan and I'm co-founder and CEO at SDLC Corp. So we are headquartered out of San Francisco, California, and we have a team of around 250 plus engineers as of today. So what we do, so we specialize in AI-based digital transformation. So we are working with like government organizations, big enterprises, wherein we help them to implement AI-based technologies, whether they are looking to develop a product based on LLM, or they want to do something in computer vision, or they want to do something in data forecasting analytics. So we help them with all of these stuffs. So 3 years ago, when like this chat GPT came up, so that's when we realized we need to pivot very fast. So at that time, like the team that we had was roughly around 150, and it was like very diverse. Like some people were working in like the development part, some in UI UX, etc. So we trained our team and we transformed everyone into AI first. So that's how like we started scaling, and today we are a team of around 250 plus AI engineers who are working with all of these different organizations. And talking about MIT, so one of our offices is like located nearby to MIT, and we have, I believe, few people as well working from our offices in Noida office especially, who are from like alumni of MIT as well. And in like today's time, like day before yesterday, I was at a similar event at SGT University, Gurgaon. So there one student asked me like, is AI coming for your jobs? So the answer is yes, and the answer is no, both. Depends on how you look at it. So yes, some jobs will be eliminated that like AI will actually eliminate, which are redundant. But at the same time, a lot of new jobs are going to be created, wherein like AI specific projects are going to be there. Even we ourselves, like we are expecting our team to be 4 times, like roughly around 1,000 plus people in the next 12 months. And that's where like prestigious organizations like MIT come into picture. So you are already churning out engineers in big numbers, but now like as I'm sure you are already doing it, like you are creating AI ready engineers, and that's where like your role come into picture. And a lot of courses are already offering in that direction, and that will actually help engineers to be AI ready. And then there is a lot of opportunity for sure, like the world is moving toward developing new products around AI. Everyone wants to do AI, so there are lots of opportunity. It's just that the way we look at it, yes, traditional jobs will be eliminated, that's for sure. But at the same time, a number of new jobs are going to be created that didn't exist earlier. So it's just that we need to make ourselves AI ready. So with this part, I would like to bring my speech to a conclusion, and thanks everyone for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kishan. I would request our session chair, Dr. Gurinder Singh sir, to give us final remarks before we head out for the felicitations. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Marut, and my thanks to each one of you I think that not only the students and researchers are listening you here, but they are also listening you across all the universities where we have got global visitors. But on behalf of MIT University, I want to thank each one of you. I think that it's really great to see that industry and academia, they are coming together. And students were very young and still they want to contribute in the area of research. I was going through few articles which students have written and a few cases which they have published. And my compliments to each one of them and how they have been able to
Unmute. Ganesh.
how they have been able to contribute in this conference. Please keep on coming and keep on being a part of such conferences. Once again, thank you, everyone, and especially those who have contributed in terms of their research articles and also talking to the industry. Uh, my special thanks to Miss Mary and to Miss Marsha for bringing the industry. I think it was very important because at the end of the day, whatever we teach, whatever we do research, if it is not for the industry, it has no meaning. We are grateful to IEEE because I think, yeah, huge applause for them. Because I think that from the last 2 years, the teams were talking to each other from the other parts of the uh, 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 things because I reports and but very happy. We look forward to those kind of energies and for all our global. I think great to see that you are here, and especially people from the industry who are here. Ms. Arlene, the way you spoke, the presentation you gave, I was very impressed that being a CFO and then also progressive, that how technology you are using in your all operations. Also, Mr. Al Leskrin, I think that not only uh, to all the students.
Thank
But I think it's really inspiring to see that as an alumni of FDU, how you started up and then how you are inspiring youngsters. Uh, Mr. Bozer, students talk very high about you. I think that because I thought that sometimes when I was listening that you were a professor. So we were really impressed the way you spoke, and then we had a lot of people from online. I can see our good friend Ms. Dashina who joined us online. Thank you so very much, and also Kishan. And good to see that each one of you contributed for this conference. Special thanks to the chair, Professor Rhonda Green, who along with the vice chair, not deputy chair, vice chair Udit Sharma, who so ably gave us the time. Both of you are great professionals. And I think that whatever you are doing in Chicago, you have been able to create. It's also very, very inspirational. We want to further see that how we can have more synergy at MIT. I think that one thing about which we are most passionate, and that's what QS and THE have given us the ranking, is that we are the most employable one of the most employable universities of the world, to work very closely with the industry, with the researchers, especially focusing on new tech and how we can bring the solutions. But from the bottom of our heart, once again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. I think with this, we come to the felicitations and teams to please join. MIT is proud to confer upon Ms. Arlene Palladino the Corporate Leadership Excellence Award. Please keep the applauses coming for Ms. Arlene Palladino. We would request the dignitaries to please step forward. There is lack of space. I would apologize for that. Please keep your applauses coming for Ms. Arlene Palladino. Up next, I would also request Mr. Allah Starton to please step forward to receive an Amity Corporate Excellence Award. Please keep the applauses coming, ladies and gentlemen. What a wonderful session. What erudite remarks. Please keep the applauses coming for Mr. Stephen Bozer for having received an Amity Corporate Excellence Award in recognition of his visionary leadership at Levine. Next up, I would also request Professor Arun Kumar Somani to please step forward to receive an Amity Excellence Leadership Award. May I also request Professor Rhonda Green to please step forward and request Group Vice Chancellor Sir to give her an award for memorable address. Please keep a thundering round of applause coming up for Professor Rhonda Green. Ladies and gentlemen, IEEE Professor Rhonda Green. May I please request Professor Udit Sharma to please also step forward to receive an award for memorable address. Professor Udit Sharma, Vice Chair IEEE. I request you to please present this all, Professor Udit Sharma. Keep the applauses coming, ladies and gentlemen. Can you step out, please? Last but never the least, may I please request Miss Mary Sakin, Assistant Dean, FDU, to please receive a certificate of appreciation, and Miss Marcia Martino, please step forward to receive the honor from Group. Keep your applause coming, ladies and gentlemen. I would also request them to present shows. Keep huge round of applause for Mary and Marcia for all the help they have given to make this conference successful. Keep the applauses coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's a proud moment. We have concluded the first day of our International Conference on Engineering, Technology and Management. It wouldn't have been at last possible without the support of our very loving students who have been very patient since morning. A huge, huge round of applause for all our dear students. We are so proud of you for making this possible. And for the faculty members, Dr. Amrish Kumar Chaubey, my colleague, Dr. Garima, Meghna ma'am, whom we are missing, and she's in India. At midnight, she's just watching us and guiding us, all of us. And most of all, our icon, our beacon, my mentor, my teacher, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh sir. Please keep the applauses coming for an iconic figure who has been mentoring all of us. Thank you, sir. Thank you, IT team. We are grateful to you for your support, and we can close the session now. Thank you, IT team.